Years after the original series ended, Criminal Minds is still remembered as one of the best crime dramas of all time, with undeniably the most terrifying killers to boot. The continuation, Criminal Minds: Evolution, has attempted to recreate the magic of the original, but even the most fearsome unknown subjects, Unsubs, in Evolution fail to hold a candle to the original series. Evolution's gold star killers were interesting, but they pale in comparison to many older Criminal Minds Unsubs. The fictionalized behavioral analysis unit in Criminal Minds faced hundreds of perpetrators, ranging from disturbed but easy-to-catch community members to high-profile assassins who left no trail. The uniquely disturbing villains were so memorable that many are still waiting for a fitting alternative to Criminal Minds to watch, and it's easy to understand why. The original series put care into crafting realistic yet shocking characters who could evoke fear, rage, disgust, etc. with a single opening scene. While some Unsubs had more screen time in Criminal Minds, some were terrifying enough to leave an impression with just one episode under their belt. 10. Randall Garner aka the Fisher King. Criminal Minds Season 1, Episode 22. The original Criminal Minds ran for 15 seasons, but the procedural wasted no time in creating menacing antagonists. The pilot season of Criminal Minds concluded with the crimes of the Fisher King, Randall Garner, Charles Hayde and Charlie Rossman, a man who treated the investigation to find him like a fantasy quest. Garner set up riddles, left convoluted clues and puzzles for the BAU to solve, and maintained his threat level by sending Jason Gideon, Mandy Patinkin, a severed head and attacking El Greenaway, Lola Glaudini. What made the Fisher King so frightening is his recklessness. As Criminal Minds Season 2 proved, Garner had no problem putting himself in harm's way for the sake of his schemes. His delusional quest to rescue his dead daughter drove him mad, and anyone who got in the way was just collateral damage. Aside from kickstarting El's exit from Criminal Minds, the Fisher King paved the way for more creative Unsubs to follow. 9. Benjamin Cyrus. Criminal Minds, Season 4, Episode 3. Certain episodes of Criminal Minds left a terrifying legacy for their originality, but others rose to popularity because of their realism. While tons of Criminal Minds episodes are based on real cases, arguably one of the most well-known is Minimal Loss, inspired by the 1993 Waco siege. Similar to real-life events, the Criminal Minds episode focused on Agent Spencer Reed, Matthew Gray Gubler, and Emily Prentice, Paget Brewster, as they are caught in the crossfire of a religious cult being raided. The episode's Unsub, Benjamin Cyrus, Luke Perry, may not have had dozens of victims from a murder spree to brag about, but his character was disturbing for a much simpler reason. Aside from leading the cult and manipulating families into agreeing to mass suicide, Cyrus married and impregnated a young teenager who ended up sacrificing her life to stop the BAU from ruining his plan. The real horror of Benjamin Cyrus was his ability to commit pedophilic acts and have a room full of people believe it was God's will. 8. John Curtis aka the Replicator. Criminal Minds, Season 8, Episode 1. The Replicator on his phone with an unconscious Strauss next to him in Criminal Minds. Criminal Minds included so many memorable Unsubs, one killer was able to reference distinct fictional killers within Criminal Minds. John Curtis, aka the Replicator, Mark Hamill, not only replicated a unique modus operandi from the BAU's past, Curtis also had inside information. After being scorned by his superior, Curtis made it his mission to get revenge and taunt the FBI in the process with a string of copycat murders. The Replicator seamlessly borrowed killing methods from many different killers, which automatically makes him one of the most unsettling Unsubs in Criminal Minds. What made him truly terrifying was his connection to law enforcement. The only reason Curtis was able to recreate such detailed crimes was because he was part of the organization that investigated them. John Curtis was one of Mark Hamill's best roles, and he was undoubtedly the scariest. 7. Pablo Vargas. Criminal Minds, Season 1, Episode 19. Sometimes, simplicity can be just as unnerving as a grand spectacle killer. Pablo Vargas, Alejandro Patino, was a two-pronged criminal. Vargas raped over a dozen women before the BAU arrived in Mexico, and he then murdered his victims' mothers. Parts of Vargas were reminiscent of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, like Vargas keeping the remains of his deceased mother in his living room and donning dresses to attack women. Vargas left his victims traumatized by his sexual assault, but he took their anguish a step further by murdering their mothers long after the fact. While Pablo Vargas is a rare case of the BAU not apprehending a suspect, he was murdered vigilante style by his own victims in clear karmic retribution. That ending may satisfy some, but the understated crimes of Vargas pack a chilling punch, especially for Criminal Minds Season 1. 6. Floyd Phelan Ferrell aka Lucky. Criminal Minds, Season 3, Episode 8. Unsubs like The Replicator had full season runs, but Lucky, Floyd Phelan Ferrell, Jamie Kennedy only needed one Criminal Minds episode to turn stomachs. Ferrell spent most of his life in a psychiatric hospital after taking a bite out of his infant sister, but he was released when he turned 18 and free to build a life without restrictions. After opening a barbecue restaurant, Ferrell began targeting women to kill and cannibalize them. To justify his crimes, Ferrell insisted he was possessed by a flesh-eating demon. While the very concept of Lucky is nauseating, he blended in well enough to feed human remains to a search party without attracting notice. Ferrell also fed human remains to customers at his restaurant, deriving a sick pleasure from people unknowingly committing cannibalism. Criminal Minds has many disturbing unsubs, but the sickening acts of Floyd Phelan Ferrell stand out in all the worst ways.